All right, I'm back. I wanted to weigh in on truck drivers and truck driving life and the coronavirus and the quarantine. Now, I drive truck and I've been driving for about 10 years. Prior to driving truck, I've done different jobs, but for the most part, I've driven some kind of truck, 6-wheel, 10-wheel, for my early life. And then in the last decade, I've been driving big rig, 18-wheeler, semi, whatever you want to call it. So I don't have, 40 years of experience or even 20 years of experience, but I've been out here for a little while. And I have a basic understanding of trucking and the life that goes with it. Lately, especially because of the coronavirus and the quarantine because of COVID-19, I've been reading a lot and seeing a lot about just how bad truckers have it with this quarantine and everything that's going on, and the whole essential worker thing. And first and foremost, I drive a dedicated route, and I only go approximately 500 miles from the Chicago area. So I don't see the entire country, and I'm sure that there are some areas that are worse than others. I haven't been to New York City, for example, in at least 6 years. I used to go to New York City. I do not anymore. I am now on a regional route that doesn't take me there. So I don't know what it's like in the hot spots. I don't go to California. I've never been to California. I don't know what it's like out on the West Coast. But I know in the area where I'm at, in the regional area that I'm running, it's not that bad. I don't know, maybe this was worse at the beginning in some areas. I know in some cases there are issues, like, for example, without hesitation, truck drivers do not get home anywhere near the same frequency that normal people do with normal jobs. And for example, for myself, I get home once every 2 weeks, and I get to stay home usually for between 34 and 48 hours. Now that can vary, it's not set in stone, but approximately every 2 weeks, I get home for somewhere between 1.5 and 2 days. That's part of the job. I know some drivers are out for a lot longer period of time. I know some drivers get home every night. It depends on what you do. But when you become a truck driver, that's part of the job. So not getting home every night, if that's not something that happens with your particular route that you have, isn't something to cry about. It's part of the job. If you want to do this job, that is part of it, and you have to accept that. Otherwise, don't do the job. That being said, is it possible to easily get food? Well, all the places that I've gone to, with the exception of restaurants, are still open. They may not be open 24 hours, but they are still open. So can I get food? Yes, if I want to buy food from a truck stop or a gas station, just as an example. Sometimes I might come across a Walmart that actually allows me to park at their lot, at which point then I can go to a Walmart, although Walmarts are limiting their hours as well. So is that potentially a little bit more difficult? Yes. Now, I think at the beginning, a lot of truck stops had restaurants, and those restaurants might have closed down completely. But lately, or maybe in all cases, at least the ones that I am seeing, are offering food. They're offering the option to still buy from that restaurant as long as you place your order over the phone or online, and then you walk in to the truck stop and pick up the food. Now I know if you're not a truck driver and you drive in a car or whatever, they still have like curbside service for a lot of these restaurants, but I'm talking about truck stops. So in another aspect along the same lines, truck stops have what's are usually called driver's lounges, where a driver can come in, there's a whole bunch of comfortable chairs, and they can sit and watch TV and they can chat with each other. Those are closed. At least every one that I've seen, all the driver's lounges are closed. Social distancing, maintain 6 feet, you can't come together. So in that regard, can truck drivers intermingle and associate and hang out with each other? No. Just like the rest of the world, we also have to follow social distancing. So, are the lounges closed? Yes. But we can still stay in our truck. We can get out and walk around. We can go into the truck stop to buy stuff. I don't understand. And again, maybe it's because I'm not in some areas where it's worse. I can believe that like in hotspot zones, it could be significantly worse. But for the most part, for most drivers, I don't think it's that bad. Now, me personally, I prefer to stay in my truck. I do not like a lot of social intermingling and interaction. So this doesn't bother me. But if you're really keen on being able to hang out with other drivers and chit chat and just spend time, I can see how that might be frustrating. But no more frustrating than everybody that has to stay at home that isn't a truck driver. So this isn't something special or that singles out truck drivers. This is just the way the world is right now. But while I'm talking about trucking and truck drivers, I constantly see things that say the country would stop if it weren't for truck drivers. Without truck drivers, you wouldn't have anything. Or something similar. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like the fact that people appreciate the fact that I help deliver goods that somebody wants to purchase. And without a truck to deliver them, it would be much more difficult to get items from point A to point B. You'd have to rely on just planes or trains. So trucks do a lot. However, if I went to my pickup point to get a load that needed to be delivered and there was nobody there, I would just be sitting in a parking lot with nothing to deliver. So the people that make the product are important. The people that load that product onto my trailer so I can deliver it are important. After I get loaded and I'm driving down the road and I have to stop and fuel, the fact that there are people working at truck stops, fuel locations, make it possible for me to fuel my truck so I can continue with my delivery. When I get to my final destination, if people are not there to unload my trailer, I would just sit in the parking lot with a trailer full of goods and be unable to do anything. So truck drivers are important, but let's be realistic. If it wasn't for every single person involved in the entire supply chain, things wouldn't go somewhere. The country would shut down if the entire supply chain didn't work. It's not just truck drivers. I love the idea that maybe I'm special or important, but we have to be realistic here. It's not just truck drivers. It's not just me. It's not the next guy. It's every single person in the supply chain doing their job all together so that things happen. That's how the world works. It's not just one thing. You have to broaden your view. You have to understand. It's a big, complex chain. This is why I continually say we need to stop thinking so locally and start thinking more globally. Everything in the world is in some way interconnected now. With technology, with the way the world is, everything is connected. And to try to think that we are somehow more special, whether it's because we're a truck driver, or we're an American, or because we're in the West, because we're not China, because we're not communist, whatever the case may be, we need to stop thinking that way and start realizing that everyone and everything works together now in some way. And if we can't do that, we can't make progress. And we're always going to stagnate ourselves while trying to do better or get better or make progress. And that's a problem. Stop being so close-minded. Stop being so narrow-minded. Stop having the blinders on and realize it's not just us. It's not just you as a person. It's not just me. It's everybody. So truckers, thank you for what you do. And for truck drivers that have been out here for years and years, and for truck drivers that go through things that I don't want to go through, thank you for what you do. But thank you to everyone that makes the products, that loads the products, that sells the products, that unloads the products, that helps me be able to buy what I want when I want to buy it. When I go to a fast food restaurant before there was a quarantine, or even now, and I pull through the drive-thru, I want to know that I'm going to be able to buy my food. And that means somebody has to be in there working. And it can't be just one person. It's got to be a team. Otherwise, I'm not going to get my food. And I may go through and I may complain because it's wrong or because it's not cooked the way I like or it's not made the way I like. But the fact is, when I go through a drive-thru, I'm relying on somebody else because of something that I want. And it's not just drive-thrus, it's gas stations, it's Walmart employees, it's people working for minimum wage, busting their butt so that I can be out here busting my butt, making more than minimum wage, so that I have a little better life than they do, so that I can get what I want. And then when they complain because they don't have enough money to survive, we shouldn't be yelling at them and saying, too bad for you. We should be a little bit more understanding, because we're all in this together. This started as a conversation about trucking, but really it's a conversation about people. And one final thing I want to mention, I'm not sure I really should, but here we go. When something bad happens, it generates more attention than something good happening. I think we all know that. You can be honest for your entire life, but you tell one lie, and the world thinks you're a liar. That's just an example. Let's talk about trucking. I know there are truck drivers out there that are really good people, and they're really conscientious about what they're doing and doing it right and being polite and courteous to everyone that they come across. They drive down the road and they try to do their best job, or at least a good job, without yelling at everybody else and without getting into fits of road rage. And there are drivers that are always aware and courteous of what they're doing and try to be polite and respectful. But way too many times, when I go into a truck stop and I have to use the restroom, I have to wash feces or urine off of the toilet before I can sit down on it. And that's not nice. And I know it's not every single driver that does it. And I know it may not even be a truck driver that did it that particular time, but it's more frequent in a truck stop than it is in a rest area. Why is it that as a truck driver, you, if this applies to you, don't think being courteous to someone else is something that matters? I don't know. But if you wonder why people don't like truck drivers, just look around. When I am in a truck stop and I look around the parking lot, I see bottles filled with urine thrown onto the ground. Now, I understand that sometimes, just like in a hospital bed when people use a bottle to pee in, a truck driver, for convenience, has to use something to pee in. But that doesn't mean you take that bottle and just throw it out for someone else to deal with. That is nasty and it's disgusting. When you're driving down the road as a truck driver and you're doing 70 miles an hour and you come up on a car doing 65 in a 65 zone and you get 20, 30 feet behind them and you start blaring on the air horn, that doesn't make you a professional, good driver. It doesn't make you safe. And these are the reasons people dislike truck drivers. Now, are there a lot of truck drivers that are really good people? Yes. Yes, there are. Are there a lot of really safe truck drivers? Yes, there are. But people focus on the negative first. And when you see negative, it impacts you more. So think about that the next time you decide to do something. Because as a truck driver, you're representative of every truck driver when somebody sees what you do. And that matters. It matters both to truck drivers and to people in general. It's about all of us. It's not just about one of us. It's not about a particular group of us. We're all in this together. And I don't understand why people can't figure that out yet. I hope everybody is doing well. And I hope if you know anyone that has been infected with the coronavirus, that has come down with COVID-19, I hope that they have a speedy recovery. Because this is not a pleasant thing. I hope everybody stays safe. I hope everybody stays well. We will get through this. And if we think about getting through it together as people, we'll get through it faster and better. Thanks for watching.